Now, I know a lot of you are going to be like, Zen, what is up? You haven't posted a Terraria episode in almost 2 weeks. Well, I mean, if you watched the previous episode, you know that I've been working on Yharon, and that the next video will be when I defeat Yharon. But I've taken a bit of a break from Terraria for like the last week, but I'm back at it. So now I've returned to the grind, and I want to share some of my revelations that I had, and also just kind of be like, why did I take a little bit of a break? Let's start with the revelations. So I've gone and adjusted some of my accessories around to be far more defensive, and I've tried the lance method once again. So during my little break, I was like thinking like, oh man, I really liked that method. I want to kill Yharon with that method. And right now I need the motivation in order to do it. So in order to get the motivation, let's try something that I'm enjoying. So I went back to using my little lance method, which works really well. And the handful of times that I have now done it with that method, I've almost killed the boss. So it's just really about perfecting the timing on certain things and figuring out specifically in the second phase what to do when the boss does like, he does like a power up, launches a bunch of balls outward, and then charges at you, and those balls follow him. The first time that I did it with the lance method and got that far, which was the first time I tried it with the new lance method, the balls just end up like I lance through him, so I charge through him, but then all of the fire orbs, like they just come straight at my face, and it's really hard to deal with. So I've been saving my teleport, my normality relocator, and my armor teleport for those moments now that I've kind of had a couple attempts under my belt with it. And that feels a lot better. So I think that combined with just getting better at timing on it and learning when to use specific defensive stuff, like my healing potion. I tried it with the blood chalice, and actually that was fairly good because I don't get hit fairly often with this method, but it's just practice. It's just practice, right? So I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it a lot. And so I just wanted to be like, hey, I am back at doing Yharon. Expect this to be dead this week, hopefully, by the end of the weekend. The problem is, and this ties into the break that I needed, I had a backup of videos that I needed to make. So for those of you who don't know, I do a first impression series on the channel where I take a look at new games, and I literally jump in without ever having seen it or played the game. Usually I've seen like a screenshot and maybe a trailer. And it's really fun to provide some analysis on a game of like, what is the first impressions of this game? Does it stick? Does it get me? Is it interesting? What does it provide to you know, a genre that might be saturated with the games that are similar to it, or maybe how does it show that it's a very unique experience, right? It's a really fun series that I do. I highly recommend checking those out. You might find some little gems of games that you've never heard of before and will just like blow your mind. However, the way that I get those keys is I have a third party that I'm a part of, and I either get keys sent to me, which I can accept or decline those, or I request keys for games that I think are interesting and fit the channel. And then with those, I have an obligation to make content. And usually I tell them that I will 100% make a video on it because that's usually my commitment to it. But I had a bunch of keys that backed up, and I needed to get them out by a certain time. So in the last week, you may have noticed quite a few of those videos go out. So that was just me going through my backlog of stuff that I had requested and just needed to get through. So that's done. And then at the same time, I got hit with a bunch of work. So those of you who know, I run my own business. I do 3D printing. And I also do commission painting of miniatures. The 3D printing is like the main part of the business, and the painting is like a supplementary part. And I have a game store that I go to every weekend, and I go play some tabletop games. Well, the guys that I play Star Wars Shatterpoint with, I had mentioned Warhammer to them, and they were like tangentially interested. So I was like, okay, you know, this last weekend, let's go to the game store. We'll bring Shatterpoint because it was a Star Wars Legion tournament day. There was like a world's invite on the line and everything, but we knew that we can kind of get some interest of people to check out Shatterpoint. So a couple of us went, set it up, just sat down, getting ready to play some Shatterpoint. But the game store was kind of overrun with a bunch of people because of the tournament. And so instead we decided, look, it's going to be hard to teach somebody how to play this game, even though we did end up running somebody through it and they're totally all in, which is great. I had also brought some Warhammer stuff to be like, hey, I'm going to teach you how to play Warhammer. So we sat down and I played a teaching game. We played Combat Patrol. I played my Adeptus Roritas, my Sisters of Battle, and I fought my buddy, and he was playing my Tyranid Combat Patrol that I owned from having the Leviathan box for 40k. And he had a great time. But our other guy who plays a lot of games with us came and sat down. He was a part of the tournament, but he didn't really want to win the tournament because he didn't want to go to the Worlds tournament at Adepticon. So he was just kind of like, yeah, I've played my games. I've done well. I'm just kind of like, I'm done for the day. So I'm just like tapping out. It's like, cool. So he came and sat and watched us play. Now the guy I was playing, we got to the end of it. He was like, I loved that. That was a lot of fun. I'm going to buy into the game. I'm going to go find a faction and, I'll start picking stuff up. The other guy we talked with, and even though he watched and did not play, he was like, I really, really liked that. And I am super interested in playing this game. So he went and literally bought a full army, a full 2,000 points. If you don't know Warhammer, that's about $1,000 worth of minis, and he's never even played. But this is also one of the guys that I do commission painting for. So I already had a job for him that I was doing where I'm rebasing some of his Star Wars Legion minis, and it turns out that's actually quite a lot of work to do. And then now he bought this whole Warhammer stuff. So I've been prepping for that this week. So I've just been like hyper busy between a bunch of orders for 3D printing stuff, getting those sorted out, and then on top of that, getting ready to paint an entire 2,000 point Black Templars army, which is super cool. I'm looking forward to doing that. It's gonna be a fun job, but it's just a lot of work. So I backed off for a little bit from Terraria and was like, I'm just gonna kind of chill. I don't want 2 hours a night of just stressing playing this game, which I don't think that would take me 2 hours or even an hour to defeat Yharon with this method. It was just, I didn't even want to dive into it. So there you go. That's why there hasn't been a video in 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks. And at the same time, I have come up with a better method that I think that will work. Now, I will stress this. I do think that the hammer is the better weapon. I think me throwing the hammer it does more consistent damage throughout the fight because I'm not getting big one hit like wonder kind of things where I'm just doing like 30,000 or 40,000 damage or whatever it is with a single hit. It's more like consistent damage that I'm just kind of shooting out throughout the fight, and it works better. But it requires you to actually learn the fight, to know how to dodge and move and everything like you would with the actual fight. With the lance, I can get around a little bit of that. I can cheese it, not necessarily have to learn a lot of the fight because I can use the immunity frames while heading through enemies and projectiles to get myself around with this particular weapon. So I think that is going to be my preferred method of attempting how to do the boss. So just to get to the end of it, I think the hammer is better, but I think that I'm more interested in killing it with the lance because it was something that I had come up with back when we first started this boss. So that will be the next video in this Calamity series, me just going through and killing Yharon finally. Now that I'm back at it. I think that's an important part. I'm back at it. And if you have any tips on what I'm doing in the background here, any suggestions of changing things around, let me know in the comments as always, and I'll take those and attempt them and see what is better with all the different suggestions that I get.